It was a quiet Friday evening in Charleston, South Carolina. The sun had just set, leaving streaks of orange and purple across the horizon. The streets were beginning to empty as people made their way home from work. Among them was Sergeant Maya Brooks, dressed casually in jeans and a leather jacket, walking back from a nearby grocery store. She looked like any ordinary woman, tall, athletic, her hair tied back neatly, a calm expression on her face. But beneath that calm exterior was a storm forged through years of discipline, combat, and pain. Maya wasn't just anyone, she was a decorated Navy SEAL, one of the few women to ever earn that title. As Maya crossed a dimly lit alley, a black pickup truck slowed down behind her. Inside were 4 men, laughing loudly, their voices echoing with arrogance. They were members of a local gang known for stirring up trouble, especially against people of color. "Hey, look what we got here," one of them sneered, leaning out of the window. Maya ignored them and kept walking. Another man whistled. "You deaf or just rude, sweetheart?" Maya stopped, her patience thinning. She turned slightly, her eyes cold but calm. "I don't have time for children," she said softly, continuing forward. That was enough to bruise their fragile egos. The truck screeched to a stop, and all 4 men jumped out. They surrounded her, smirking, trying to intimidate her. "You talkin' back to us," said the leader, a thick-built man with tattoos crawling up his neck. "You people think you can just walk around here like you own the place?" Maya's gaze flicked to him, then to the other 3. "Walk away," she said firmly. They laughed. "Oh, we'll walk away, sweetheart. After we teach you some manners." The first man lunged forward, grabbing Maya's arm. In one swift, fluid motion, she twisted her wrist, pivoted, and sent him crashing face first into the ground. He let out a sharp cry as his arm bent at an unnatural angle. The others froze for a second, confused. Then, rage replaced reason. "Get her," the leader shouted. .2 rushed at her simultaneously. Maya sidestepped the first one and drove her elbow into the second man's ribs, the sound of cracking bones filling the air. Before the first could turn around, she swept his legs from under him and followed up with a precise kick to the chest that left him gasping for air. The leader hesitated now, realizing something was off. This wasn't fear he saw in her eyes, it was focus. "You, who the hell are you?" he asked, his voice trembling. Maya stepped closer, her movements measured and silent. "Someone you should have never touched." He swung at her wildly, but she caught his wrist, twisted it, and slammed him against the truck. His head hit the metal with a dull thud. The last man tried to run, but Maya's voice stopped him cold. "Tell your friends," she said, standing tall under the streetlight. "Next time you think of attacking someone because of their skin, remember what happened tonight." The man turned, fear written all over his face. What are you? Some kind of cop?" Maya looked at him, eyes like steel. "Worse. I'm a Navy SEAL." His mouth fell open in disbelief. The weight of her words hit harder than any punch. He stumbled backward, dragging his injured friend into the truck before speeding away into the night. When the police arrived minutes later, they found 3 unconscious men and 1 broken truck. Maya was sitting calmly on the curb, sipping water from her grocery bag. The officer recognized her instantly. "Sergeant Brooks, you again?" She smiled faintly. "Just doing a little community cleanup, sir." He chuckled. "You sure left a mark." "Sometimes," she said, standing up, "lessons have to hurt to stick." The incident made local news the next day. Unidentified woman fights off gang of racists. Maya didn't care about the headlines. She wasn't looking for fame or credit, she only wanted one thing: for people like that gang to learn that hate always meets its reckoning. As she looked out at the sunrise the next morning, Maya tied her boots and smiled. The world was still full of darkness, but as long as she was breathing, she'd be the light that fought back. 2 days had passed since the alleyway incident, but trouble had not gone quiet. At a dingy warehouse on the outskirts of town, the same 4 men sat bruised and humiliated. Bandages covered their arms and faces. Their leader, Trent Hawkins, paced back and forth like a caged lion. "She made us look like fools," he growled, slamming his fist on a metal table. "A woman, 1 woman. And now everyone's talkin'. One of his men muttered, "Man, that wasn't no regular chick. She broke my ribs with 1 hit." Trent glared at him. "I don't care what she is. Nobody disrespects me," and walks away. From the shadows, another voice spoke, slow, deep, and cold. "Maybe you should find out who she is before you go after her again." Everyone turned. A tall man stepped into the light, wearing a black coat and a scar across his jaw. Marcus Vale, a local gunrunner and ex-soldier, now the gang's unofficial boss. Trent hesitated. "You know her?" Marcus nodded. "Not personally. But I've heard rumors about a black woman in Charleston with Navy SEAL training. If that's her, you boys messed with the wrong one." Trent smirked, masking his fear. "Then I'll just bring more men." Marcus leaned in close. "You don't fight a SEAL with numbers, you fight her with strategy." Meanwhile, Maya sat quietly in her small apartment overlooking the harbor. The news had already spread, but she had brushed it off. She wasn't afraid of those men, but she knew their kind never stopped at one lesson. Her reflection in the window stared back, strong, but weary, and her mind, she heard echoes of her past, shouting instructors, gunfire, and cold water crashing over her head. You quit now, Brooks, and you'll regret it forever. Pain is weakness leaving the body. Move like the ocean, calm above, power below. She had been the only woman in her SEAL training unit. They had laughed at her, doubted her, even sabotaged her gear. But she had survived. That memory hardened her resolve again. She picked up her phone and called someone she hadn't spoken to in months. Jake? It's Maya. I think I've got a problem. Jake Miller wasn't just anyone. He was her former SEAL partner, a demolitions expert turned private security contractor. Within hours, he was at her door, a smirk on his face and a duffel bag over his shoulder. Can't even go grocery shopping without causing a war, huh, he teased. Maya rolled her eyes. You know me, always the peacemaker. Jake's expression turned serious. Who are we dealing with? Local gang. Racist, violent, and stupid. But they're connected to Marcus Vale. Jake's brow furrowed. Vale? That guy's ex-special forces. Arms dealer now. If he's involved, this won't end with fists. Maya nodded. Then we make sure it ends our way. Later that night, Maya and Jake set up surveillance near the same alley. She knew they'd come for revenge, and she wanted them to. Through binoculars, Jake spotted movement. 4 cars. At least a dozen men. Maya cracked her knuckles. Guess they brought friends. Jake smirked. Good. I was starting to get bored. They split up, Mia taking the rooftops, Jake staying ground level. The gang moved in, weapons drawn, expecting an easy ambush. But when they reached the alley, a tripwire snapped, and flashbangs exploded in brilliant white light. Confusion erupted. Men shouted, blinded, then Maya descended from above, silent, precise, unstoppable. She took down 3 before they even knew what hit them. Jake emerged from the shadows, disarming 2 more with brutal efficiency. Trent tried to run again, but Maya caught him by the collar. This time, she said coldly, you won't get a warning. Marcus Vale appeared from the smoke, pistol in hand. You're good, Brooks. Real good. But even SEALs bleed. Maya faced him calmly. So do traitors. He fired, but she was faster. She rolled aside, grabbed Jake's sidearm and returned fire, hitting his weapon hand. Marcus screamed, clutching his arm as his gun fell. End of the line, Vale, Jake said, stepping forward, but Maya shook her head. No. Let him crawl back to whatever hole he came from. I want them all to remember. She turned to Trent, still trembling on the ground. You attacked me because of my skin. You thought I was weak. You thought wrong. Tell your kind, the world's changing. And women like me aren't scared anymore. By morning, police sirens filled the streets. The gang had been dismantled. Marcus was gone. And Maya and Jake disappeared just as quietly as they came. A local reporter stood in the alley, describing the chaos. No suspects have been identified, but sources say a highly trained individual intervened to stop the attack. Far away, on a quiet beach, Maya watched the sunrise again, calm, unbothered, and unbroken. Jake walked up beside her. You ever think about stopping? She smiled faintly. Not until the hate stops. They stood in silence, the waves rolling softly at their feet, 2 ghosts in a world that needed saving. A week had passed since the night Maya and Jake dismantled Marcus Vale's gang. The city was calm again, at least on the surface. But Maya knew better. Trouble didn't vanish, it simply regrouped. Sitting on the balcony of her apartment overlooking the Charleston harbor, she sipped black coffee while scanning through encrypted files on her tablet. Jake leaned against the railing. Still digging? Maya didn't look up. Vale wasn't working alone. I found money transfers to a company named Iron Pike Logistics. It's a front. For what? She turned the screen toward him, rows of coded payments, weapon inventories, and encrypted messages. Illegal arms shipments. Some headed overseas. Others staying right here. Jake frowned. Domestic cells? Worse, Maya said. Extremist militias. And someone high up is protecting them. Later that night, Maya and Jake broke into an abandoned shipping yard on the city's outskirts. Containers lined up like sleeping beasts, each marked with Iron Pike's insignia. Jake used a lockpick while Maya kept watch. The night air was thick with silence. The container door groaned open, and inside were crates of military-grade rifles, explosives, and tactical gear. Jake let out a low whistle. This is enough firepower to start a war. Maya crouched down and pried open a crate. Inside was a manifest stamped with a government seal, Department of Defense. Jake's face darkened. You're telling me someone inside is funneling gear to racist gangs? Maya's jaw tightened. Not just someone. A colonel named Richard Keene. I served under him once. Jake froze. You sure? Positive. Maya's memories of Colonel Keene came flooding back, training missions, cold orders, and his barely concealed disdain. He had always underestimated her, mocked her background, and questioned her abilities. Now, it all made sense. She pulled out her phone and called an old contact, Agent Laura Chen, an intelligence analyst with the Naval Investigative Service. Chen, it's Brooks. I need a trace on Iron Pike Logistics. Fast. Chen hesitated. Brooks, if Keene's involved, you're playing with fire. He's untouchable. Everyone burns, Maya said quietly. Even him. 2 days later, a charity gala was held at the Charleston Regency Hotel. High-ranking officers, government contractors, and businessmen filled the glittering ballroom. Among them, Colonel Richard Keene, smiling as cameras flashed. He didn't notice the waitress carrying champagne glasses move like a predator. Maya, disguised, moved through the crowd with practiced ease. Jake monitored from the van outside, target at the north table. Jake whispered through her earpiece, got him, she murmured. As she passed Keene, she slipped a microdrive into his pocket, a silent infiltration. The drive would extract data from his phone as soon as it connected to any network. Minutes later, Jake's screen lit up. Download complete. And, oh, damn. What? Maya asked. Jake's voice turned grim. He's been running multiple militia cells, funding, arming, and protecting them. Including the gang that attacked you. Maya's eyes hardened. Then it's personal. Before Maya could leave the gala, a hand clamped down on her wrist. Sergeant Brooks, Keene's voice oozed venom. Didn't think I'd recognize one of my old soldiers? Maya's heart pounded, but her face stayed calm. Colonel. Still hiding your rot behind a uniform? Keene smirked. Careful, Brooks. You might find yourself dishonorably dead. Before she could respond, security surrounded her. Keene leaned close. You think you can expose me? The system needs people like me. You're just a tool they throw away. Maya smiled faintly. You're right. But tools can break things, too. In a flash, she elbowed the nearest guard, snatched his stun baton, and unleashed chaos. The ballroom erupted in screams as she vaulted over a table, smashing a window and leaping out onto the hotel's terrace. Jake's voice came through her earpiece. You're hot, 2 SUVs pulling up. She sprinted across the rooftops, adrenaline pumping, bullets sparking against metal. When she reached the edge, she jumped, landing on a fire escape before disappearing into the alley below. Moments later, Jake picked her up in the van. He grinned. Remind me never to take you to dinner. She smirked. You couldn't afford it anyway. Then she held up a small device. Got his data. Every name, every transaction. Enough to bring the whole thing down. Back at their safe house, they decrypted the files. The screen filled with names, politicians, CEOs, military officers. All connected to the same operation. Jake exhaled. This isn't a gang problem anymore. This is an entire network. Maya stared at the list. Then we don't stop until it's gone. Chen's voice came through the secure line. Brooks, listen, this runs deeper than you think. The people you're about to cross, they'll erase you. Maya's voice was calm, resolute. They can try. As dawn broke over Charleston, Maya stood on a rooftop, watching the sunlight touch the city she'd nearly died to protect. Jake joined her, holding a folder marked Operation Clean Tide. You ready for this? He asked. She looked at him, eyes fierce with determination. Always. He smiled. Then let's burn their empire to the ground. They turned, disappearing into the morning light, soldiers without medals, ghosts of justice, ready to fight a war the world would never know about. 3 weeks later, the air in Savannah, Georgia, hung heavy with tension. Hidden inside an abandoned shipyard, Maya and Jake sat surrounded by crates of confiscated weapons and forged IDs. Operation Clean Tide had begun. Their mission: infiltrate Iron Pike's network, expose the internal corruption, and dismantle the militia groups backed by Colonel Keene's allies. Jake adjusted his earpiece. You sure about this cover? Mercenary contractors isn't exactly low profile. Maya zipped up her tactical vest. We're not going low profile. We're going invisible. Jake smirked. Invisible and heavily armed. My favorite kind. Their new identities, Morgan and Shaw, ex-Black Ops soldiers turned freelance enforcers, granted them access to Iron Pike's hidden facility deep in the Georgia swamplands. As the rusted gates opened, armed guards inspected their IDs. One of them stared too long at Maya. She met his gaze coldly. You got a problem? He blinked, intimidated. No, ma'am. Welcome to Iron Pike. Inside, the facility looked like a hybrid of a warehouse and a war bunker, rows of vehicles, stockpiles of rifles, and walls lined with maps showing attack plans. Maya's trained eyes scanned everything. She recognized the coordination. This wasn't some fringe militia. It was military precision. A man approached them, tall and pale with a scar across his cheek. His name was Commander Isaac Red, a former intelligence officer turned mercenary captain, and one of Keen's right-hand men. You must be Morgan and Shaw, he said, shaking their hands. Keen speaks highly of you. Jake forced a grin. He speaks too much, if you ask me. Red chuckled. Follow me. You'll be helping with tonight's shipment, something big. Maya exchanged a glance with Jake. Shipment meant evidence. Evidence meant leverage. That night, under the cover of fog, trucks began rolling out of the compound. Maya and Jake loaded crates labeled medical equipment, but when Jake pried one open, the contents made his blood run cold. C4 explosives, hundreds of them, Jake whispered. They're not arming gangs anymore. They're planning a coordinated strike. Maya clenched her jaw. Target? Red appeared behind them, as if summoned by fate. DC, he said proudly. A cleansing. Keen's vision for a new order. Jake froze, pretending to laugh. You're serious? Dead serious, Red replied. When this is done, the country will wake up to real leadership. Maya's hand twitched near her concealed pistol. Every instinct screamed to end it now, but she needed proof. Hours later, Maya sneaked into the command tent to copy shipment data. She connected her drive, downloading GPS routes, detonation codes, and Keen's private communication logs. Jake stood watch outside, but Red was smarter than they thought. He'd been suspicious from the start. He burst into the tent with 3 guards, gun raised. I knew it. You're not mercs, you're ghosts. Maya drew her sidearm, but it was too late. She was surrounded. Red smiled cruelly. Keen said you'd interfere again, Brooks. He's looking forward to seeing you in person. Jake's voice came through the comms. Maya, get down. A second later, an explosion ripped through the fuel depot outside. Flames consumed the night sky as Jake crashed a stolen truck through the tent wall, mowing down 2 guards. Maya leapt in, grabbing Jake's arm. You just blew our cover. He grinned. You're welcome. They sped out through the collapsing gates, gunfire chasing them into the swamp. Back at their safe house, Chin joined them via encrypted video call. Her face was pale as she scanned the data. This is massive, Chin said. They're planning simultaneous attacks in 5 states. Federal buildings, protests, and media stations, all to start chaos before election week. Maya's jaw tightened. And Keen's leading it? Chen nodded. He's not alone. Several politicians are funding this. If we leak this publicly without protection, we'll vanish by morning. Jake slammed a fist on the table. Then we don't leak it. We broadcast it. Maya smiled faintly. You mean hijack a federal signal? Jake shrugged. You've done crazier things. The plan was dangerous. They'd infiltrate a secure communications hub used by Homeland Security to send emergency alerts. Once inside, they'd transmit the evidence directly across every national network, exposing Keen and his allies in real time. At midnight, dressed in stolen tactical uniforms, they breached the compound. Silent takedowns, swift movements, every second counted. Maya reached the main console and plugged in the drive. A progress bar appeared, uploading 87%. 91%. 100%. Jake grinned. We did it. But the monitors flickered, and suddenly, Colonel Keen's face appeared on the screen. Still chasing ghosts, Brooks, he sneered. You think you've won? You just declared war on your own government. Maya stared at him coldly. Then I'll finish it. She hit enter. Across the country, TV screens, phones, and news feeds erupted with files, names, documents, and footage. Every secret laid bare. The facility alarms blared as soldiers poured in. Maya and Jake fought back to back, their movements synchronized like clockwork. Grenades exploded, gunfire echoed. Keen appeared on the mezzanine, firing down at them. You ruined everything, Brooks, he shouted. Maya advanced through smoke and chaos, bullets whizzing past. No, she growled, reloading. I just cleaned your mess. They clashed, hand to hand. Years of resentment turned into raw fury. He swung with brute force, but she countered with precision. One strike to his throat, one to his knee, then a final blow that sent him crashing into a metal beam. Keen gasped, bloodied. You think this changes anything? The system will always protect itself. Maya looked down at him, eyes cold. Then I'll keep breaking it. She turned and walked away as the building burned behind her. 2 days later, the news exploded. Massive corruption network exposed, colonel arrested, militia ring dismantled. Maya and Jake watched from a safe house in the mountains, faces illuminated by the flickering TV. Jake handed her a mug of coffee. "So, what now?" She smiled faintly. "We disappear. For now." He nodded. "You know they'll call us criminals for this." "Maybe," Maya said, looking out at the dawn. "But history will call us something else, patriots." As the sun rose over the mountains, the world changed quietly, and in that silence, two unseen heroes vanished into legend. 3 months had passed since the world learned the truth about Colonel Keene's conspiracy. America was still reeling from the shock. Protests, resignations, and investigations filled every headline, but beneath the chaos, a new enemy had emerged. A covert branch of the Defense Intelligence Bureau, Unit 7, had been assigned to track down the rogue operatives who leaked the files. Maya Brooks and Jake Miller, they called her the ghost of Charleston. To the public, she was a hero. To the government, she was a threat. Somewhere deep in the Colorado Rockies, Maya and Jake hid inside a snow-covered cabin surrounded by pine and silence. Jake stared at a static-filled radio. "They've frozen every account we had. Can't buy food, can't travel. We're ghosts for real now." Maya sat by the fire, her knife spinning between her fingers. "Good. Ghosts can move in the dark." Jake frowned. "You sound too calm for someone with a kill order on her head." She smirked faintly. "I've had worse odds in war zones." He studied her for a moment. "You're not afraid, are you?" She looked into the fire. "Fear's a luxury I stopped affording a long time ago." One night, the peace shattered. A silent bullet shattered the cabin window. Jake dove behind cover, returning fire. "They found us." Maya moved like lightning, rolling, reloading, scanning the tree. A red laser danced across the wall. "Sniper, East Ridge," she shouted. They split up, flanking through the snow. Maya's breath formed clouds in the cold air. The forest was deathly quiet, until she saw a shadow moving behind a pine. She fired once. The figure dodged and shot back. The two traded precise bursts until Maya's bullet grazed his arm, spinning him into the snow. She rushed forward, pinning him down, and froze when she saw his face. A young black man. Barely 30. Dog tags glinting in the moonlight. "Who sent you?" she demanded. He coughed blood. "Unit 7, code name Spectre. They told me you were the enemy." She hesitated. "And you believed them?" He smiled weakly. "Believing's easy when the lies come with a paycheck." Then his eyes closed. Maya stared down at him. Another soldier, another pawn. Jake caught up, panting. "Who was he?" "Someone like us," she said softly. "Just on the wrong side of the line." In the following days, they followed the assassin's tracker back to its source, a communications hub in Zurich, Switzerland. Maya changed her look, short hair, gray coat, civilian clothes. Jake carried a modified laptop and fake passports. "Zurich," he muttered as they walked through the snow-dusted streets. "Neutral country, huh?" "Not anymore." Inside a luxury office tower, they accessed the encrypted servers of Helix Dynamics, a private security corporation. Maya uploaded the data chip she'd taken from the assassin's gear. The results stunned them both. Project Orion, a covert international alliance of military contractors, tech firms, and political figures. Their goal, to reshape world order through fear and manipulation. And at the top of the chain, General Nicholas Reeves, Keene's former superior. Jake clenched his fists. "So the puppet master finally shows his face." Maya's expression hardened. "Then we cut the strings." That night, they met with Chen in a Zurich parking garage. "You two are insane," she whispered. "Reeves isn't just powerful, he owns the narrative. Every camera, every satellite, every agent reports to him." Maya handed her a flash drive. "Then give this to someone who doesn't." Chen hesitated. "There's something you should know. Unit 7, they've got your SEAL files. They're framing you for espionage." Maya's eyes darkened. "They want to erase me." Jake smirked grimly. "Good luck." "She doesn't erase easy." But as they turned to leave, headlights flared, black SUVs boxed them in. Soldiers poured out, weapons raised. Chen looked horrified. "Maya, I didn't." Maya yanked Jake behind cover as bullets tore through the air. Chen shouted something before a blast threw her backward. "Go," she screamed. Maya wanted to drag her, but Jake pulled her arm. "We can't save her now." They vanished into the storm, their mission now personal again. Days later, inside an abandoned NATO base in Norway, Maya prepped for the final operation. The plan, infiltrate Reeves' private compound in northern Poland, broadcast his crimes to every intelligence agency on Earth, and destroy Project Orion once and for all. Jake loaded his rifle. "After this, we're either dead or legends." Maya gave him a rare smile. "Maybe both." They entered the compound under heavy snow. Motion sensors, guards, drones, it was a fortress. But nothing could stop a SEAL who'd come this far, using silent kills and EMP grenades. they reached the control room. Reeves waited inside, calm, sipping scotch. I should have killed you the moment Keen warned me, he said. You tried, Maya replied. He gestured around. You can't win this. The system rebuilds itself. Maya stepped closer, her gun steady. Then I'll keep tearing it down until there's nothing left. Reeves reached for his pistol, too late. Maya fired once. He fell silently. Jake uploaded the files, triggering the same mass leak they'd used months ago. This time, it wasn't national, it was global. BY morning. Governments around the world were in crisis. Headlines screamed of corruption, secret militaries, and a web of lies stretching across continents. Maya and Jake disappeared again, this time for good, and no one knew where they went. Some said South America. Others said the Middle East, but soldiers whispered her name like a myth, the ghost who fought the system. 5 years later, a young woman in naval uniform stood in front of a memorial wall. Her badge read, Lieutenant Zara Brooks. She placed a medal beneath a name etched in steel, Sergeant Maya Brooks. A voice came from behind her. You knew her? Zara smiled faintly. She was my sister. The man nodded solemnly. She changed everything. Zara looked at the horizon, where the sun rose golden over the water. No, she whispered. She started everything.